Do you know the story of the man who dared to challenge kings? Sir Walter Raleigh, explorer, soldier, poet, and once the shining star of Elizabeth's court, a man who rose higher than most, only to be cast down by the very crown he served. His execution is remembered. His final words, legendary. But Raleigh's true story wasn't only about one man's death on the scaffold. It was about defiance, a life lived on the edge of power, constantly testing the patience of monarchs, until the axe finally fell. This isn't the tale of a traitor. It's the story of a man who refused to bow. March 24th, 1603. Elizabeth Wine is dead. The queen who ruled for nearly half a century left behind a kingdom and a favorite. Sir Walter Raleigh. During Elizabeth's reign, Raleigh had it all. He commanded ships, fought Spain, governed colonies, and filled his pockets with monopolies on wine and tin. He lived in a grand London house, wore fine clothes, and recited poetry in the Queen's chambers. But he wasn't just a courtier. He was a symbol of Elizabeth's golden age, bold, arrogant, unafraid of enemies at home or abroad. And when the new king, James I, rode south from Scotland to take the throne, Raleigh became the perfect target. James distrusted him from the start, a soldier who hated Spain, a war hero adored by the people, and a man too close to the dead queen. James wanted peace. Raleigh lived for war. Their clash was inevitable. Within weeks, Raleigh's fortune vanished. The king stripped him of his post as captain of the guard, seized his monopolies, even handed his house to a bishop. Overnight, the queen's favorite became a man without home, wealth, or power. But humiliation wasn't enough. The king's ministers wanted him destroyed, and so came the main plot, a shaky conspiracy that accused Raleigh of treason, a plan to replace James with his cousin, Lady Arabella Stuart, with Spanish backing. The evidence? The frightened testimony of one man, Lord Cobham. Nothing more. At his trial in 1603, Raleigh demanded his accuser face him in court. He never did. Instead, the king's attorney, Edward Coke, thundered at him. "You are a monster. You have the face of an Englishman, but the heart of a Spaniard." But Raleigh was no ordinary defendant. Calm, eloquent, and brilliant, he shredded the accusations piece by piece. He argued with such skill that the crowd began to cheer for him. Even his enemies admitted he spoke as never man spoke before. Yet none of it mattered. The verdict was already written. Guilty of treason. His sentence? The traitor's death, hanging, disembowelment, beheading, and quartering. And yet, James hesitated. Raleigh was too popular, too dangerous to kill so soon. His execution was suspended. Instead, he was sent to the Tower of London, a prisoner who would wait 13 long years for his final day. The Tower was no dungeon. Raleigh studied, wrote, and even conducted alchemical experiments. From his cell came his History of the World, a book so bold in its criticism of tyranny that the king tried to suppress it. But Raleigh never stopped dreaming of gold. He believed ElDorado, the city of riches in South America, could still be found. In his 60s, desperate for redemption, he promised James he could deliver a mine of gold in Guyana wealth enough to refill the king's coffers. It was a gamble, and James allowed it, but with a cruel trap. Raleigh was released on condition he not attack the Spanish. The old death sentence still hung over him. One mistake, one skirmish, and it would return. In 1617, Raleigh sailed again, weak from age but burning with hope. His son, young Walter, went with him. What he found was disaster. His men clashed with the Spanish in Guyana. His son was killed in battle. The mine of gold was nowhere to be found. And with that, Raleigh was finished. Betrayed, arrested, and dragged back to London, Raleigh was condemned not for the failed expedition, not for piracy, not even for his son's death, but for the 15-year-old treason charge, revived from the past. On October 29, 1618, he walked to the scaffold at Westminster. Eyewitnesses said he looked as though he were going to a feast, calm, composed, defiant to the last. He touched the axe and said, "This is a sharp medicine, but it is a physician for all diseases." He laid his head down, and when the executioner hesitated, Raleigh urged him on. "Strike, man, strike!" 2 blows. Silence. The crowd did not cheer. They stood in stunned quiet. They knew they had not seen a traitor die, but a statesman destroyed to please a foreign power. Sir Walter Raleigh was not perfect. He was ambitious, arrogant, reckless. He chased impossible dreams and gambled everything on ElDorado. But he was also a poet, soldier, historian, and explorer who defined an era. He defied his enemies in court, defied Spain at sea, and defied a king on the scaffold. In the end, it was not treason or failure that killed him. It was politics. James I wanted peace with Spain, and Spain wanted Raleigh dead. So the king gave them his head. But Raleigh's words, his writings, and his legend survived. His story remains a reminder of how far power will go to silence those who stand in its way. He was a man who defied kings, and for that he paid with his life. If you value stories told from original trial records, eyewitness letters, and the research of historians, consider subscribing. It helps us keep these stories alive. And tell us in the comments, do you think Raleigh ever believed in ElDorado, or was it only a desperate dream to win back his freedom?